In today's video, we're going to be going through the basics of quoting a simple interior painting project in order to get you started on quoting interior painting projects inside of PaintBid Ninja. So from the very beginning, we're here on the home page, and here's where you'll be able to see all of your different estimates. Now, this account, I've obviously not filled out the client information, but I think I might have further back. You can see the client information is there, but this homepage will allow you to filter for a lot of different things. And you can even adjust the columns that display. So if you want to see the phone number or the type or the ID or the estimate number, we can display everything. The nice thing too is that once you get change orders signed, you'll be able to see, okay, how many signatures or how many signed documents do I have inside of this particular customer and estimate. Okay, so that's nice. You'll be able to see your revenue. And now getting to the point of starting a new quote, it's always best to start a quote from a template. It saves so much time. So if we click here, new estimate, yes, we can search for blank. And I think if I type here blank, we can start completely from scratch, but that's going to cost you more time. So what we'll do is we'll actually just click on a basic quote here. And you can add pictures to your own templates here too. I've yet to do that. So it's visually nice and easy for you yourself or for your sales reps. So what we'll do is we'll go through this step by step, and I'll kind of explain maybe some of the little quirks of our software, because everything has quirks. So the label, now this label was pulled from the template itself. So we called it bedroom, but you can call it whatever you want. This is essentially something that you can utilize or not. It's an optional thing. But if you want to be able to quickly search for a specific job type, you can use it for that. It's a little bit open-ended, and it's a label that can fit your business. Now, in terms of property and client, you can certainly search for an existing property and client, or if you want to add a new one, simply click add. And then here, when we don't have a client, my internet may not be perfect right now. So let's say we don't have that client, we can't search for that particular client, then we'll just simply add a new client. So I'm going to click there, and you're going to fill this out. So let's see here. I'm going to just fill out my name again, THT@gmail.com. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And company. And then if you want to have customer notes, you can put that there, just so that in the future people can sort of see a little bit of information. Again, we're not a CRM, but there are a few CRM-like things where you can comment on the customer. But we're going to create that. And just bear with my internet for a second. It's going to change the selected client. We said TH. And this is nice because we can autofill the address anywhere in North America. So if I click 1, 2, 3, it's going to give me something. There we go. California. I'm going to create that. No thanks. So now we've got our property and client information. You'll remember in the last video that I talked about an integration with Zapier. So if you're already able to collect this information through your scheduling software or a CRM that you do scheduling in, we can simply create something so that that customer information already gets pre-populated into PaintBid Ninja. So that's available, and do let us know if you'd like to discuss any more information about that, but it is self-serve through Zapier. At the bottom of this page, I'm not trying to skip this estimate type. So this estimate type impacts one thing. It impacts the production rates that get displayed inside of the measurement page. So We can select whether we want interior production rates, exterior, or interior and exterior. And then last but not least, we have the ability to take notes. So the concept here is that you're likely on your iPad or maybe your mobile phone, and you're talking to your customer on a job site. And this is where you're going to be jotting down any information. And there's certain things you want on the work order, certain things you want to take down as an estimator, and there's certain things that will actually get displayed on the quote, and that's the general description. And you can, of course, bold anything you need. You can make this look a lot prettier. So once we're happy with that, we're going to click next. Another thing is that we can keep taking photos. You see on the bottom right here, there's a few things that kind of follow us around. Yes, we can jump to the top, jump to the bottom. We can upload pictures or take pictures and then quickly upload them. And we can also jot down exclusions. So let's say we're not doing the doors or inside the closets. Now this is information that came from a template. And again, that's kind of already floating with you. So a lot of this information floats with you in this notes tab as well as some additional information. I've mentioned the quick snippets. So it's a feature I don't use a lot of, but we've had a few people who love it. So you can actually add, and then you can trigger inline snippets. I'm not doing it properly right now, but let's see here. That is available. So the bid steps are up top here. This is your process for getting a quote sent to a customer. Setup, we just completed that. Measurements, that's where you literally take the measurements. And with production rate quoting, if you can measure, you can quote. So measure, apply the correct production rates, and you have a detailed, well thought through estimate. So after measurements, we review, and then we make sure our documents are ready to go. So we might make a few small changes to our documents, but a lot of this information gets pushed all the way through to the document so that you have to do less work when it comes to creating contracts, work orders, purchase orders, or any other documents you need. So when you're on a customer's job site, you're going to be measuring. You can measure with an electric, a device which you can buy at any hardware store, and a laser measure, and you can use that to measure. You can frankly use eyesight if you have the ability to look and see what measurements are, and you've kind of honed that in over time. And the method that I particularly have always used is stepping. So what you're going to want to be doing is taking steps, average steps, and you're going to be counting your steps. So I count 1, 2. So every time I take 1 foot in front of the other, I'm going to be counting that. So let's say I take 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. I'm going to take that number 3, and I'm going to be multiplying that by, we always multiply by 3. So let's say you have 10 steps. You've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to multiply that by 3, and you have 30. So 30 feet. Everything is multiplied by 3. If you have to adjust if you've never done that before, let's say, just do a bit of practice at home. Get out your tape measure, walk from one end of the room to the other, step it out, try that methodology, and see how close you get. I can't stress this enough. It's not going to be perfect, obviously, but it's pretty accurate, especially once you get a feel of just taking those average steps you need to take. And we're not trying to be perfect here. We're not finished carpenters trying to measure materials. We're trying to get plus or minus 10% accurate on our measurements, and do the same with applying production rates. And that will generally give us a result over time that we can bank on. So we're one of the only softwares that allows you to measure using Excel-like functionality. So if you hit an equal sign in any of these boxes, you'll actually be able to multiply, subtract, divide, do all basic math functions. So let's just say here we have walls, and I want to say that these walls are 18 feet by 15 feet. So I can do that a few different ways. The way that I personally like to do it is I say 18 by 8 feet height. Let's say that's an 8 feet height from floor to ceiling by 2. And this is a rectangular room. So it's 288 for those two walls. And let's say the other side of the room is 15 feet. So we're going to take 15. We're going to multiply that by 8. And you're just going to hit shift and then the multiplication button, this little asterisk multiplication button. And then you're going to multiply that by 2. So 15 by 8 by 2. Again, now we can just click and see our result. So we see that we have 528 square feet of walls. Now we can bring in different production rates from our global settings, which we covered in the last video. So let's say those walls were super easy. It changes the production rate. Now, I'll go through all of these boxes here. We kind of covered length and height. So if another methodology would be to add 18 plus 18 plus 15 plus 15, and then multiplying that by 8. But I just prefer this method myself. So we covered this. This is the surface preset that gets pulled in from the global settings. And you can search here for new global settings. That is important. This is the walls. So the walls are the surface label. Small technical difficulty with charging, and we're back. So what we're looking at here is the surface label. This is the information that will get populated on your documents from this particular takeoff. Now, this takeoff encompasses this one box that we're in here. You'll see that there's a lot of functionality up above here. I kind of glossed over that, so I'll quickly cover that. If you want to edit a selected surface preset globally, you're going to click that. So let's say we didn't like this. We can quickly edit it from this area. If we want to create a new surface preset because we really like the production rate we put in here, we can turn that into a surface preset by clicking this button. And then we can create a blank one as well. So a lot of functionality. Ultimately, all of that is achievable from the global settings, but you can do it here as well. So we've covered all of this top row. We've covered the surface label, which shows up in your documents. We've kind of covered the production rate, but I'm going to cover that a little bit right now as well. So the math that's happening here, if let's say we have a production rate of 250 square feet per hour, and we have 528 square feet of wall space, the math that's happening is 528 divided by 250. And then it's rounding to the nearest 15 minutes. So we have 2 hours and 50 minutes because I put that to one coat. All the production rates start with one coat. Now, that's where in the last video I covered the second coat savings. So you'll notice that it's not going to become 4.5 hours. It's going to become, let's see here, 3 hours and 45 minutes, a little bit less because, again, the second coat is going to take less time based on the settings that we've set. The same thing you'll notice with the gallons. So we have a 400 square feet per gallon coverage ratio here. If I change that to 1, it's 528 divided by 400. And if I change that to 2, it's not going to double it. It's not going to be 2.64. It'll be a little bit less, 2.31. So that is that. We do have the option here to allow you to price by the square foot. So if you toggle this on, you can say, forget all of this. I just want to charge $2 per square foot. And it'll just charge 1,000 gosh, my math is bad, but you get the point. It'll double the 528. So I don't want to do that methodology. Some painting contractors use that methodology, and that's why it's there. Last but not least, it's important that you label your paint group. You label correctly what paint you're going to be using for that particular takeoff. So in this case, the walls. What are we using? The reason why that's important is we want to get accuracy in terms of how much we're charging per gallon. So this 2.31 gallons that we're going to be going through, that gets applied to whatever is our wall paint on this particular project, which also has a price per gallon that we're going to be charging. If you want to change your paint product, you can easily search that here and you can change that. And that gets, again, pulled in from your global settings. Okay. So quickly while we're here, this is the name of your paint group. This is the sheen, and this is the color. So this information gets pulled to the quote. And again, while you're there on the site on your mobile device, or if you're on a tablet preferably, you're just going to quickly enter this information while you're talking to the customer, getting a feel for the job. So on this page, you'll notice that there's surface area, there's linear, there's count, and there's prep. So surface area is always a larger area. Anything over 2 feet is typical, will be calculated as a square footage because it's easier to understand in that fashion. Anything like trim is typically calculated linearly unless it's itemized. And effectively, all these itemized rates are just derivations of either a linear or a square footage rate. So we've covered a takeoff box here. When you're happy with everything there, you're going to click Save. Now with ceilings, it's the same process. You're going to be measuring, let's say, equals 18 by 15 in this particular case, 270. We have our production rate again, all the same stuff. We can look that over. And when we're happy with that, we're going to save it. With linear, we're going to measure the length. That's it. The length of the particular trim. Let's say we're not doing crown molding, we're just doing baseboards. That means in this particular case, let's say I subtract a little bit for the openings in the room. That'll be at 60 linear feet. And the same math is happening. The same calculations are happening. Now, items are the same as well, but it's calculated on an item per hour basis. So we have a production rate of 3 items per hour for window and door frames. And what that looks like is let's say we have 4 window and door frames. It's going to go 4 divided by 3. And that will give us an answer, 1.5 hours. Okay, and then 2 coats, it'll be a little bit less. Same thing with the gallons. We have 30 items per gallon. And everything else is looking good. So we'll click Save there. Now, these are the surface presets that we discussed from the settings page in the last video. You can create those and you can pull them into your quote. Or you can just edit them locally here. You can type anything you want. And you can click here to do more advanced controls on the text. When you're ready to add hours for that, you're just going to add those in there. And you can get rid of anything you don't want pretty easily. So that's that. We can describe the bedroom. This is the areas box at the top here. So this is where you want to describe broadly what you're doing. You can list rooms up here. You can just do one room at a time, whatever the project calls for and whatever your style is, it's kind of available for you to label this in a way that makes sense. I like to list my rooms up here for interior. So if I'm doing 10 rooms, this is where I can list those 10 rooms. Makes sense to me. And that's the area. But let's say hypothetically I wanted to break those rooms apart. Let's say I wanted to do quote the bedroom separately or quote the kitchen and living room separately. I can create multiple areas and I can even attribute those to options. But again, I'll probably cover that in another video. So as we go through the review page, we're going to be kind of following these steps. So again, we can edit this. This was on the setup page. This is our equipment, so we can pull through from the, from the settings page if you want to add in different equipment that you need. This is where you can locally adjust your estimate settings, which we covered in the last video. And this is where you can see a plethora of data on your quote. So if you wanted to see all the different sections and see what's being attributed to what, then you can understand that in this table. And you can see, if you look at the bottom here, the totals. So 16.25 hours, 6 gallons, $1,505, and how much it's going to cost us, $460. And then we have a materials revenue of 460. And again, that's your 400 for your paint, basically multiplied by the, in this case, we have a 15%. So 400 times 1.15. Oops. 1.15. So that's why it's 460 and 400 for paint. Now, I mentioned option groups. You can force through option groups here, and you can create an unlimited amount of option groups to go over with customers. And I'll cover that in a future section. So I'm clicking next to go to the document. So once we're happy with all that, we can review our quote here. We can even add in some images from a file. I'll just add in one picture. The beautiful thing is here, you can add in unlimited pictures, and then you can type anything you need to clarify. Let's say not painting closet. I've kind of already said that, but let's say we're just going to add that in here. Oops. I do have to click select. So on the, you can upload a picture, but then you have to bring it in from your, you have to click on this sidebar and then you have to select it and then save the document. So that's done. And then we can review our document, make sure we have everything in order. And again, your document is built up of these sections that are on the left-hand side here. So let's say there's something missing and I want to add something new. I can add in any section from a template that I've made. I can add in a sort of more static, well-used section that is available here. So these are designable as you'd want, and there are some pre-designed ones in your account already. But one thing that we would always recommend is adding in your terms and conditions, and I think we might have a default in there for you as well. So once you're happy with that, your contract, you can simply publish that. And once you can have the opportunity to change your price if you, let's say, wanted to manually raise it or lower it. I didn't want to in that case. I'm going to click share again. The email recipient is there from what I entered earlier. And I already have a little bit of a message that's pre-typed. And then I'm just going to want to click send. And that will send to your customer. So that covers the basics of going through an interior estimate. And in future videos, we're going to get a little bit more advanced on some of the more, I guess, advanced features, if you will, like creating option groups and that type of thing. So stick with me for the following videos as well.